Did you ever find any like cool plays during this run?
Not there, but
was it worth it?
Here's why it was worth it: is that there's something like anyone who's had to do coverage. Most scripts you read are terrible, right? Because most things, it's hard to write something good,
right?
But with a musical, they would come with a CD, and it would be demos of like 3 songs. But the demos almost always were sung by the authors. And so these terrible songs performed so passionately. And so it was just this crazy window into insanity where you're like, well, these people clearly have never played the CD for another human being or they would not have submitted it, right? Like, this is just craziness.
Yeah.
And so Scott, I
feel like writing a musical probably is a lot like working for Merrill Lynch from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah, you're just lost in it. You're like, and losing your mind. So Scott and I, who were living together, I was like, let's write 3 songs from a fake musical.
Okay.
And submit it to my boss under fake names and see what he says. Like, let's see if we can fool him into liking something terrible.
Okay. But it's got to go through you first, right? So you were like...
Yeah, but I was going to like pass it on to him.
Right, you're just like,
hey, check
look at this
out.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we started writing this show, and we ended up falling in love with it ourselves, and it became the show called Gutenberg the Musical, which ended up running Off-Broadway, and is why I became a writer.
Wow.
And it started as a prank on my boss at Manhattan Theater Club.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we became the show that was 2 guys who have no business writing a musical, named Bud and Doug. They are doing a backers audition where they're like performing their show, and they think there's Broadway producers in the audience, and it's their chance to go to Broadway.
Okay.
And their show is about Johann Gutenberg inventing the printing press.
Okay.
And it's like historical epic, like Les Mis.
Yeah.
Big, huge, but it's obviously not a good thing to musicalize.
Right.
And so it's all stupid as hell. But they also are not good enough actors to play all the roles.
Sure.
So they have a table filled with trucker hats with the names of all the characters, and they're constantly switching. At some points in the show, like in big chorus numbers, we'd be wearing like 10 hats.
Oh, funny.
All stacked on top of each other and choreographed so that we could flip them all around and switch characters
funny.
in the middle of chorus numbers. And it started at UCB before I was AD there. We did it at UCB, and then this.
Okay, wait. So you were going to write 3 songs and give them to Scott.
Yeah,
and that's
we fell in love with our own
and you
bullshit.
just wrote the whole thing and gave it to him.
Shit. We never gave it to him.
Oh, you never even gave it to him?
No, because we started falling in love with it, and then we were like, "Oh, this could be a thing."
Oh, funny.
And then it became this like.
And then
meta,
you put it up at UCB.
Yeah. And it was based on, I was going to all these readings and workshops of musicals, and so I had seen it, and so then we kind of aped that with this terrible
And you
musical.
and him performed in it.
And we performed it at UCB.
It was just the 2 of you?
Yep, just the 2 of us.
Oh, fun.
And we wrote it all and did it, and got it. Owen Burke was the AD, and he gave us a run.
Yeah.
And it was amazing in that we would do the show like once a week, and we would anything that didn't get a laugh, we would rewrite it.
Oh, cool!
Because it was like I don't want to say that again and not get a laugh, so we would rewrite it, and we rewrite it. So
your jokes per minute were huge, probably
huge,
by the end.
Huge, yeah. And so we.
So then, how do you go from UCB to Off-Broadway?
So
what's the step? You find financing or something? What's the move?
We tried so hard to get theater producers to come see it. No one would come to UCB because it was viewed as a comedy theater.
Right.
While we're doing that run, we kind of ended the run. We ran it for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then at that time, I got asked to be the artistic director.
Were you still selling out for 2 years? It's the same play, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it every week, and it's like
almost every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
because it got a reputation, and so we were doing it.
Because I feel like at that time UCB was much smaller, and it's probably the same people.
We were mostly sold out,
but it was probably the same people going to the shows every week, right? So
we would for some reason we mostly ended up doing it on like Saturday nights, and so we got a lot of
just people off the street or whatever. Oh, super cool.
But it was like we were just doing it. We weren't really aware of what we were doing.
Right, yeah.
But people would be like, you should do it in the Fringe Festival. And I'd be like, but we're playing for sold out audiences here. Why am I going to the Fringe? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But once I became AD, this thing called the New York Music Theater Festival, who weirdly the guy who took over my internship at Manhattan Theater Club was running that.
Oh, weird.
So strange.
Yeah.
He was like, we should partner up and do some comedy stuff together, and then part of that, we ran Gutenberg as part of that festival.
Yeah.
This British producer came and saw the show, and he was like, can you make it a 2-act and I'll bring it to London? And without thinking, we were like, sure. And so we had 2 months. We expanded it from a UCB length, half hour, 40-minute show to a full 2-act musical.
Yeah.
Wrote all this shit. We were like riding on the plane. It was crazy. Go to London. we're performing it. We're making the set. I mean, it was insane. And then we perform. This producer was not smart, but he loved the show. He invited every critic on the same night.
Oh, geez.
The audience was 100% critics. We performed the show to complete silence.
Did you know it was going to be critics?
We knew we knew there were critics, but we didn't know it was only critics.
Yeah.
We literally performed to complete silence.
Oh, geez.
So we are like in London. We've just done opening night to complete silence, and we're like, what the hell? Like, oh my God, we're gonna die. And then the reviews came out, and they were like through the roof. And we realized
that's so exciting.
What had happened was every time a critic would laugh, they would start writing.
Oh, sure.
So they weren't laughing because they were writing down what we had said.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just him dumbly only like inviting all the critics on the same
right.
night.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just stupid.
Because that just kills the vibe.
But so because of that, then we brought it back, and he wanted to bring it and run it off Broadway, and we decided we didn't want it to be just an act. So we cast these great off-Broadway or great theater actors, Christopher Fitzgerald and Jeremy Shamus, in the parts.
Okay.
And then rewrote it some more, and then it ran off-Broadway, and now has run all over the world. That's
amazing.
There's a production in Paris right now. And
how many shows did you do in London?
We ran it for 2 months.
Okay,
so
and how, was he paying you when you were out there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
8 shows a week.
The dream.
Yeah.
And then it came
right off Piccadilly Circus.
And then when it was off Broadway, are you making money during it? For a writer? What is that like?
It was off Broadway, so there's not a lot of money.
Right.
And here's a tip for anyone who's going to write a play.
Yeah, I'm not going to, but
don't write a play where the audience has to be small enough to be able to read names on a trucker hat. It limits the size of the house that you can play it in.
Everyone that is writing a play that's listening to this is like, oh, we got to scrap it.
They're like, damn it, our trucker hat play. But it does limit the size of the audience.
For sure.
You can't play a huge thing when it's like you got to be able to read a trucker hat.
So how's that formatted? I'm just curious by these financials because as the writers, are you also producing it too? So then
we had a producer. So we're just getting a royalty.
Royalty. Gotcha.
In theater, you hold copyright. So it's not like TV and film where you give up copyright and the studios own it.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
So you keep copyright in the theater, although it's getting blurred now. We're writing some stuff for movie studios for Broadway.
Yeah.
And that's a weird blur because you do own copyright, but how can you do a play that is based on a movie that they own the rights for with your copyright?
Right.
You can't. So it's a weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very strange,
that is interesting.
It's a strange thing.